Hello, lovely, and welcome back to my channel. This, of course, is Roni D TV, which must mean I am Roni D. We are coming to the San makeup today. We're going to play with some makeup while we talk about some shit. Today is May 11th, and that's a day that can eat a bag of dicks. I made it through the day without a body count, so I count that as a good day. May 11th is a weird day in Roni land. It's a day that, oddly enough, is the day I lost one of my very best friends. Also the day that my favorite author happened to die a couple of years after that. It's a tough day. It's a tough day. So anytime I get through May 11th with only one panic attack as opposed to 2 or 3, I count that as a good day. This year, much like every other May 11th I've dealt with in the last, 11 years, didn't happen the first year. It's been 12 years since Vaughn passed. And every year, about the same time, but about 1 in the morning, to be honest, I wake up with a massive panic attack. I woke up this morning, Fitbit going, your heart rate's 175. What the fuck are you doing? You're supposed to be asleep. So yeah, that's always a fun way to start the day. But unfortunately I had a day at work where everything kind of broke, so those are always fun. But yeah, I made it through the day, and some years are easier than others. Some years it sneaks up on you and you're like, oh, what a great it's the 11th, fuck! My friend Vaughn, 12 years ago, passed away. He had a suicide incident. It's a hard topic to talk about. I know anybody who's gone through somebody going that way, it's not something you can talk about like a normal death, because there's a whole stigma around the mental health and the whole suicide end of it, and there's those people who like to judge other people and say that anyone who commits suicide is selfish and how dare they this, and how dare they that, and I would never this, and I would never that. You don't know. You don't know. You have no idea. My friend Vaughn and I were together for friendship in a very weird time for both of us. It was a very small moment in time, all things considered, in our early 20s and whatnot. He was a little bit younger than me, but we connected at the kind of dewdrop inn there that Mick and Am had on English Street, where everybody and themselves sort of ended up in a gothic little community. My friend Judy sort of introduced me to the whole crew. She's another one that had a suicidal incident there and is no longer with us. But she got me into this group, and it was through those friends that I met Vaughn. And we really connected quickly. I had it by the throat at one point because I had heard story after story that he had been sort of mowing a buddy of mine's lawn, so to speak. So when he showed up finally at the Dewdrop Inn, I was like, oh, you're Vaughn, and up against the wall, and before my friends could tell me that the intel had been updated, and that wasn't what happened. So I let him down, and we became friends. We became really, really good friends, to the point where I think the number one question we got is, why aren't you two together? Which we always found really funny. We used to joke that were we to get together as a couple, one or two things would happen. Either we would take over the world or we would kill each other. Turns out 12 years ago he made the choice and killed us both. I went so far down the rabbit hole that I just flew through the floor that I thought was the bottom of the rabbit hole and shattered on the bottom. The me that came out of the rabbit hole after that incident was not the same one that went in. It changed everything. It changed my whole entire world. People stepped up to get me to Fredericton that I never would have even thought to begin to ask to help in that situation. I was driven by 4 friends who I don't even think a single one of them knew Vaughn. They just knew me. They knew Vaughn was important to me, and they wanted to make sure I got where I needed to go. I have a really good chosen parental figure who made sure I was taken care of and friends that stepped up. My support system was amazing. I will forever be grateful to the people who helped me through that, because even in the small gestures that I don't think they really understood meant the world to me, if it wasn't for them, I don't know what would have happened. I went to a very, very dark place, as you know, most people who survive somebody they are close to going through a suicide. You look for blame. You look for anyone that you can blame, whether it's yourself or other people. The person who did it, it's easier to be angry than it is to deal with the loss and the not knowing. I mean, even if there's a letter, like, that letter is never going to say what the people who are left behind need to hear. And sometimes the answers you get as to why are so astoundingly random that it's baffling that the world even works that way. And I knew this was kind of where the Story of Me series had to start, because, you know, May 11th, 2008 is where I started. Everything before that ended. There's a lot I don't remember from that transition period, probably for the best. But I didn't expect it to hit me as hard as it did. I had never had somebody outside of my family that I cared about that much that had died, and so suddenly and so young. And it was 2008. Like, we didn't have the same technologies we had now. Like, I had talked to him the night before. Our MSN conversation was still open and he was logged in, because MSN didn't have a thing where it went, you're AFK after like 15 minutes like it does now. Actually, I don't even know if MSN's still a thing. But most messenger services have that now. This one didn't. So to me, on my computer, he looked like he was still logged in. And I had someone on my phone bawling and telling me that he had died. And it didn't make sense in my brain, because I had talked to him. Like, our conversation had ended less than 12 hours ago. What do you mean? It didn't make any sense to me. The only reason I even knew it was true was that the person on the phone is not one to show genuine human emotion, and was legitimately breaking down on my phone. That scared me. That made it all become very real very fast. And yeah, everything changed. I am not, like, it would have been an entirely different road for me had that not happened. And I've had friends over the years who were like, well, why haven't you just moved on from that? Why don't you just get over it? Obviously, people who have never lost someone like that before, because if you did, you know, you never get over that. You never get over that loss. You never move past it. You have days where you don't think about it. And those become more and more frequent. But it's never really gone. And then you have those days which break your heart, where you realize, holy fuck, I haven't thought about this person or that in a long time. And then you feel guilty, because you feel like you should be carrying that cross every day, and you're moving on with your life and you're doing what you should do, because you didn't make the decision to end your life. But you do feel a bit of regret for that, and a bit of remorse. And there's moments where I'll see somebody all done up in like steampunk looking fabulous. I was just walking around with like a cat cape, and oh, it looks fabulous. And the first thing I want to do is, I should text Vaughn and let him know, because he would fucking love that. Can't do that. Vaughn wasn't even really around when texting became a big deal. Can't do that. And it's devastating when you have those moments where it's a normal everyday kind of great day. Like, today's a great day. It's like 13 degrees outside at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'm still like, I woke up with a panic attack and I'm bummed out, and it sucks. It sucks so bad. And for a lot of years after he died, it was actually easier in my brain to believe that he had faked his death, and was going to be coming back with some great story, and I could be mad at him and punch him in the face and be like, how could you? And then we would go out and everything would be fine, and we would just move on with our lives. It'd be this fucked up thing that he had done for fucked up reasons. Because it's easier to deal with that anger than it is to deal with the loss. And I know this whole COVID-19 thing has us all very separated and very isolated. And I know mental illness is not easy to deal with on the best of days. I have a great fucking affliction, apparently, for tap dancing around the edge of that rabbit hole, and I fall in from time to time. I'm really good at getting myself back out these days, because I've got a great support system and people, but I know what it's like to be in that hole. I know what it's like. And if you need to talk to someone, please reach out, whether it's in my DMs or you reach out to like a suicide hotline or your friends, somebody that you can talk to. There's always a way to get some conversation going. You're important, and that's never a good choice. There's so much more to come, and there's so much that your friends and family and loved ones want to share with you in the future. Just take a minute and breathe and think about that. Because it's not just your life you're ending when you do that. I am legitimately an entire, not being facetious in any way, I am a completely different person than had Vaughn not killed himself. It's like the wreckage of a bomb. Those that are closest to the bomber are devastated. They're destroyed. They're decimated. It's just basically a vapor. And the further out you go, the less the damage is. But those people that are closest to that impact never, ever, ever, ever walk away from that trauma without having something etched on their soul forever. It's made me check in on people more. It's definitely made me grow up very quickly, because I had to process a fuck ton of shit in a short period of time. Within, I would say, about a year and a half, maybe 2 years, I had three people that meant the world to me just up and killed themselves. Vaughn started it, and then there was JD, and then I got the call about Judy. And by the time I got the call about Judy, I had gone through so many deaths in that short period of time that I had a friend whose father passed away that I had to legitimately tell, I can't come to that funeral, I'm sorry, because I can't take another one. I can't. So, it's tough. It's real tough. And I know there are times in your life where you're going to feel like there's nobody there, and you need to get out. And, you know, suicide is a very tempting mistress. When my mother found out that I was bisexual, she boot-fucked the door at 3 in the morning at my grandmother's house after I came home from my birthday party. And she was tearing up baby pictures, and I was a greedy whore, and how could you? And these are pictures from the 80s. These are not things that you can just reprint at Walmart. Those baby pictures are just gone. They're totally gone. I mean, I have a gay uncle, and when I pointed that out, I was told, yeah, well, he was born that way. You choose to be a greedy whore. So I know what it's like to be in a shit place and think no one's there for you, and think no one's ever going to understand you, and you're in a tiny little town after graduation where you don't really even know anybody because all your friends and support are back in the main city. You don't even know if you can get back to the main city by your damn self because you're working like basic minimum wage. You feel stuck. The woman who gave you birth, who's supposed to love you no matter what, just called you a greedy whore and boot-fucked the door at 3 in the morning to make a scene. I get it. I know that. I know where you're at. I know where you're coming from. And I know it sucks. And I know that easy exit stage, right? Seems like a real easy way through it. It's not. It's not. It's really, really not. And we want you here. Don't let a bad situation, a bad moment, a bad person make you feel like you have no value here and that you're not worth anything, because you are. And we want you here. We want y'all here. So if you're going through a time where you're like, having them thoughts where the bottom of the rabbit hole seems like a good spot to stay and end it, don't. Please, if I know I don't know you all, and that's fine. If you're there, message me. Message me, please. I'm really, really good at getting people out of the rabbit hole. I've been there a dozen times over. We all have those moments that totally change who we are as a person, and it's easy to get wrapped up in that moment and get stuck in a moment and not have perspective. And even if I can just give you a simple place to like lay your woes where nobody knows you, where you don't feel judged, where I've gone through a fuck ton of shit in my life, which we'll talk about. I hope I was that for Vaughn during his life. We both came from shit-tastic backgrounds, and what I found out about his afterwards made mine look like a fucking cakewalk. But we never really talked about that much in the back end of things. Like, most of what I found out about Vaughn's time before we met, I found out after the fact, and, you know, from one person or another and that kind of thing. We never talked about our past because our past made us sad, and we knew we both came from shit-tastic places, and we didn't want to talk about that. We wanted to be there for each other and be supportive of each other and creative and just have fun. And I hope that that was something that I brought to that whole thing. Like, I really do wish we had touched on that whole past thing a little bit more. Maybe it would have changed the course of history a little bit, maybe not. I mean, I'm not a savior by any means, but I mean, maybe if we had touched that a little bit more, it would have been a little different. But again, that's hindsight that comes at 39 that you don't have at 21. So, you know, you do the best you can with what you got, but I sometimes wonder about that. And I think we need to get in a place where we're more comfortable talking about these kind of things. I know it's easy to feel the shame and the embarrassment and the humiliation. You know, all of that is stuff I get. And yeah, I mean, depending on where you live and, you know, the environment where you are, maybe it's not safe for you to come out to everybody you know and love about everything. Maybe you do need to get a counselor. Maybe you need somebody who can help out in that regard. And I'm not saying I have all the answers. I'm just saying that what's worked for me over the years has been able to talk about things. And if that helps, well, then let's start there. Mental illness is an illness. It's just like any other illness. And we need to get to a point where we're not stigmatizing people for that, and that we're actually supporting people who need help and getting them where they need to be. Maybe that's what we take away from this whole COVID-19 thing, because there's a lot of talk these days about mental health and checking in on each other and staying connected. And I think that's a good thing, and I think that's very important. I hope we take that away. I really do. I really hope we get to a point where we can just be nicer to each other, not judge so quickly, and help each other through shit. It's important. It's very, very important. We can't lose more people to suicide because of one thing or another, whether it's depression or, you know, it's addiction or it's accidents or whatever. Nobody should get to a point where they are in that situation. That's my opinion on that. And I know this is a really, you know, intense topic, and I know it's a really hard topic for a lot of people to talk about. And I get that. We have to take baby steps. We can't just jump into the deep end and go, okay, we're now all going to talk about our feelings and everybody's going to be fine and comfortable with that. I know I personally am not real comfortable with face-to-face therapy. I actually find that I get defensive because I start judging their facial expressions and what they're saying about me. What are they thinking about me? Why are they judging me? What did they write on that paper? What are they doing? So for me, telephone counseling works much better because then I don't lie. The only one I'm really talking to at that point is myself. And I just, you know, you can't lie to yourself. You can't. You can lie to everybody else, but you can't lie to yourself. So if you're like me and you can't deal with the thought of like a group therapy session, like nothing makes me cringe more than thinking about sitting around in a group circle talking about my feelings. Ugh. I won't even go. I won't even pretend that I'm going to go. I wouldn't go. So for me, I found that telephone works much better, and maybe it does for you as well. I guess what I think about most on May 11th every year is loss, and how short our time is, and how much we should connect with each other more. And I want us to take that away, and I want us to have a conversation. So if you've lost someone to suicide, or you've lost someone that's, you just need to talk about, put it in the comments down below. Let me know how you made it through, because I know it's tough, and I know some of you are going through it right now. And if there's something that we can talk about that makes it a bit easier for you, I want to make sure we do that. I'm a big one for everybody connecting and everybody being as one, group of folk who take care of each other. It takes a village. No man is an island. All those cliches. They're true. They're cliches for a reason, and it's important that we check in on each other, especially now. So, check on each other, be nice to each other, hug a friend, because you never know when they're going to go. Yeah, that's the first episode of the story of me. This is where I started. Obviously, we've got a lot of different tangents to go off on in the future. But yeah, if you want to stay up to date, you can hit the subscribe button and the bell notification and all them good jazzy things that everyone in the YouTube videos tells you to do. If you want to hit the like button, that's cool. If you don't, that's cool. But yeah, thanks for stepping in and checking in on me today and listening to me rant on while I played with some makeup. These greens are actually really pretty. It's too bad that doesn't show up real good on camera. Thank you, Jeffree Star, for making some real cute makeup, and Shane Dawson for that dark green. That was super helpful. Fuck, that makes them blues pop though, doesn't it? Alright, stay awesome, stay golden, and we'll see you soon.